Photoshop can be customized in a number of ways to make you more efficient and to help you get the results that you want when you're working on images for the web. So I suggest that you take a few minutes up front to customize your panels, your keyboard shortcuts, preferences, and color settings for web work, as I'm going to show you how to do in this chapter. This movie covers customizing the arrangement of panels for web work using the improved workspace switcher in Photoshop CS5. Photoshop offers lots of panels, more than you can possibly fit on the screen all at once. You can control which panels are open and how they're arranged, and you can save that panel configuration for future web work. When I'm setting up my panels for web work, I like to start with one of the preset task-based workspaces that come with Photoshop and that are displayed up here on the right side of the application bar in the workspace switcher. The application bar is a separate bar here on a Mac, and it's part of the menu bar on a PC. The workspace switcher looks slightly different in Photoshop CS5 than it did in the last version of Photoshop. It lists separate workspaces along the application bar, and if I want to see more preset workspaces, I can click on this double line and drag to the left. The workspace switcher is currently set to its default, the Essentials workspace, which sets up the panel configuration that you see here. I'm going to select a different preset workspace, the Design workspace, and as you can see, that changes the panel configuration. I think these particular panels are a reasonable starting point for web work, but I often also use the Layer Comps panel when I'm making rollover buttons for the web, as I'm going to show you how to do later in this course. So I'd like to fine-tune the design preset with which I started by adding the Layer Comps panel. To open a panel, I go up to the Window menu and I choose the panel. I'll choose Layer Comps, and that opens the Layer Comps panel here in this inner column of panels. Another way to fine-tune a preset is to close some of the panels that originally opened. So let's say that I want to close this entire group of panels, the character and paragraph panels, which are used to control type. I'll go to the panel menu icon on the right side of that panel group, click, and from the panel menu, I'll choose Close Tab Group. And that closes both of those panels together. I can also close individual panels. For example, I'm not going to use the Notes panel that opened along with the Layer Comps panel, so I'll click on its tab, and then I'll go to its panel menu, and I'll choose Close. I can not only open and close panels, but I can change the location of panels. Let's say that I want the Layer Comps panel to be at the bottom of the column of panels on the right. I'll click on the Layer Comps panel tab and drag down to the bottom of the column on the right, and when I see a blue line there, I'll release my mouse. Now that I've made some changes to the preset design workspace that I started with, Photoshop will automatically memorize the changes that I've made so that the design workspace will stay this way, even if I switch to another workspace, like the painting workspace, and then go back to the design workspace, my changes remain. And this is true even if I were to close and reopen Photoshop. This is a new development in Photoshop CS5. It means that I could just stop here, knowing that the design preset will always give me this panel arrangement, which I like to use for web work. But let's say that I like having this panel arrangement for web work, but I still would like to have the original design preset back so that I can use it for print work. In that case, I can save this custom panel configuration separately as a new preset. To do that, I'm going to click on the double-pointed arrow on the right side of the workspace switcher, and I'm going to choose New Workspace. In this window, I'll give my new workspace a name. I'll call this My Web, and that's all I have to do other than click Save in order to save this panel configuration. As you can see, panel locations are automatically saved in this workspace. If I also happen to want to save some keyboard shortcuts or some menu changes along with the panel locations, I could check the appropriate boxes. But I'll leave both of those blank for now, and I'll just click Save. That adds my custom My Web workspace as a new preset in the workspace switcher. Now or any time in the future, if I'm working in a different workspace, I can always get back to the My Web panel configuration by clicking my custom My Web workspace. Remember that I said I also wanted to have the design preset as it was originally so that I can use it for print design work. In CS5, there's a new way to reset a preset workspace to its default. To do that, I'm going to select the design workspace in the workspace switcher, and then I'm going to go to the double-pointed arrow, and I'll choose Reset and the name of the workspace, which is Design. And that sets the panel configuration back as it originally was. Sometimes I create custom workspaces that I later want to delete. Here's how to delete a custom workspace. I have to have any workspace except for the My Web workspace selected, and then I'll go to the double-pointed arrow, and I'll choose Delete Workspace, and then I have a choice of My Web workspace or any of these other workspaces to delete. I'll leave My Web selected, and I'll click Delete, And if I really wanted to delete this workspace, I would click Yes, but I'm actually going to click No and Cancel because I want to hang on to the My Web workspace for just a minute to show you something else. What if I wanted to edit my custom My Web workspace? All I have to do is click on that workspace and then make a change to my panel configuration. For example, I could select the Info panel, which I'm not going to use, and then go to its panel menu and choose Close. And now that change is automatically memorized as part of my custom My Web workspace. And there's no need to resave that workspace to keep this change. The Workspace Switcher provides a way for you to save a custom configuration of panels and even keyboard shortcuts and menu changes if you want that suits your way of working with web images or your way of doing any task for that matter. And that allows you to go off and do something else and then restore your custom workspace the next time that you're designing for the web.